Hello everybody and welcome back for more of the 2001 Fermat Math Contest. We're up to question number 6, so we're just over the halfway bit in part A. So let's take a look at question number 6 together. So question 6 reads as follows. Pat gives half his marbles to his best friend, and then a third of those remaining, so not a third overall, but a third of the remaining half, because he gave half to his best friend. So a third of those remaining to his sister. If his sister receives 9 marbles, then the number Pat keeps, not has overall or gives to his friend, the number Pat keeps is, okay? So, we could do this one of two ways. It's all about what variable we pick. So we want the number Pat keeps. So we could maybe say Pat keeps. We'll let that be K. We'll let that variable be K. Okay. And figure out a relationship. Because we're given a whole bunch of information. Half the marbles go here, then a third of the remaining go here. Figure out a way to get K or 9, the ones that his sister gets, the 9 marbles that his sister gets, in terms of K. Another way to do it might be to figure out, to instead say let P be the total number of marbles he starts with. And what we're going to do is we're going to do it that way because the fractions will turn out a little nicer. It'll turn out that his sister gets a sixth of that overall amount, and that Pat gets a third of that amount. Okay? But let's do the math, not just in our heads, but on the paper, so that everyone can see what's going on. And we'll get a brand new sheet here. You can do it either way. It's going to be harder to set up the relationship if you start with the number that we do want as our final answer. You're going to have to work your way back and figure out how to get the number of marbles that the sister gets in terms of that. So let P be the total number of marbles Pat starts with. So knowing which method to choose, which variable to actually start off and name and work out, is just one of those little things that you slowly pick up if you do enough of these contests. So P is the total number of marbles. Half P goes to Pat's friend. Was it his friend or was it his best friend? His best friend. I would argue that his best friend is his sister, and that would completely mess up the question. No. We'll assume that his best friend is actually different than his sister. So, if a half goes to his best friend, then what's left over? Well, P minus a half P is just going to be a half P. Our left. So a third of what's left, so a third of those marbles remaining, the half P that are left, those go to Pat's sister. Okay? So Pat's sister gets 1/6 P, but we know that she got 9. So if we rearrange this equation, we'll multiply by 6 on both sides. We know that Pat started, total number of marbles, P, started with 54. Now, if you check, 54 actually is one of the solutions here. It's B. And this is something that I know I always used to have a problem with when I was doing these contests. I wouldn't read it entirely thoroughly. And so if it were young me and I was having a bad day, I would have said, aha, 54, that's solved for the variable that I set. That's solved for the P that I started the whole thing off with. That must have been the answer that I want. Oh, 54 is one of the answers. Bubble it and move on. No, you got to be careful. You have to make sure you know exactly what you're looking for. And we're not looking for the total number of marbles. We're looking for the number that Pat keeps. Okay? So half went to the best friend, and then a third of what's left went to the sister. So he kept a third of the half that was left So he kept 2/3 of the half that was left. Okay? So we need to work that out. Now that we know the total number of marbles, we'll be able to get a definite answer here. But we need to make sure that we actually make sure we're getting the right value, or getting the right value. So half minus a sixth is going to be third p is kept by Pat. So Pat has 1/3 p, which is 1/3. We know what p is. It's 54. It's not the final answer, but it's 54. And 1/3 of 54 is 18. Yeah, for some reason that's not gelling in my mind really quickly. So 18 times 3, brought out the calculator, yeah, it is 54. Okay, so 18, that's the answer we're going with. So not the variable that we solved for, because we set up p was a different thing than what we wanted. We want the number kept by Pat, not the total he started with. So that's going to be 1/3 of the overall marbles he started with. So that means that's 18, and hopefully that's one of the answers. It is, it's C. Right next to that B that might have tripped us up. Okay. So C is the answer to question 6, and we move right along to question 7.